The Buddha continues.
Bodhisattvas should be adept at examining the two kinds of no-self. Firstly, the no-self of beings. Therein, the aggregates, sense realms, and sense faculties arise from ignorance, karma, and desire. Through the consequent attachment to appearances, the mind projects beings. As figures conjured by a magic trick, they pass from life to life, but you should know that they have no self. Secondly, the no-self of phenomena, the aggregates, sense realms, and sense spheres themselves have no self. The wise see all things like this have no self and are imaginary. Through seeing the two no-selves, one attains the 8th stage. Advancing to the 9th stage, one will abide on a lotus surrounded by bodhisattvas and be anointed by Buddhas, although this is another illusory realm. Proceeding past this, one will attain the Dharma body. This is the meaning of no-self in phenomena.
Mahāmati asks,
O Buddha, please teach us about assertion and denial in order to avoid these views.
The Buddha explains.
There are no assertions or denials in mind only. Body, world, and possessions are mind. Only fools assert or deny. Assertions of non-existence include assertions of, firstly, non-existent characteristics. Therein, becoming attached to a non-existent individual or characteristics shared among aggregates, sense realms, or sense faculties as being one way and not another. Secondly, non-existent views. These are assertions of a self, person, being, life, or individuality among the aggregates, sense realms, or sense faculties. Thirdly, non-existent causes. This is asserting an original consciousness that does not arise from causes that would render it unreal or illusory, or which would arise from itself, or which only arises after sensory input or memory arise, and which ceases after it exists. This is an assertion that all arises from the storehouse consciousness. Fourthly, non-existent existence. This is asserting that the uncreated exists, such as space, cessation, or nirvana. This is like the perception of a rabbit's horns, they neither exist nor do not exist. Denial is denying the asserted due to non-graspability and non-observability. Bodhisattvas who grasp these teachings appear in accordance with the needs of beings. They enter Buddha lands to hear these teachings and praise the Triple Gem.
Mahāmati then asks the Buddha to explain emptiness so that beings may be free from duality. The Buddha explains.
Emptiness is taught for those attached to imagined reality. There are 7 kinds. First, the emptiness of characteristics is the emptiness of the shared or individual characteristics of all phenomena. Second is the emptiness of self-existence, which is the non-arising of something's own existence. Third is the emptiness of phenomena, which is the lack of a self in conditioned things. Fourth is the emptiness of non-phenomena, which is the lack of a self-independent reality as conditioned things have no self. Fifth is the emptiness of ineffability, which is the fact that imagined reality is devoid of words. Sixth is the emptiness of the ultimate truth of Buddha knowledge, which is the emptiness of habit energy of erroneous views upon attaining Buddha knowledge. And seventh, the emptiness of mutual exclusion, which is the emptiness of this not implying emptiness of that. For example, that monastery is empty of horses and elephants doesn't imply it is empty of monks. Non-arising means things do not arise by themselves, but they still arise, except in samadhi. Things have no self-existence and so are constantly in flux. Non-dual means that mutually exclusive erroneous projections are not ultimately separate. For instance, long or short, bright or dark, samsara or nirvana both require each other in order to be posited. Every sutra teaches emptiness, non-arising, non-duality, and no self, but they are adjusted to the longings of beings. Therefore, you must rely on the meaning and not the words.
Mahāmati points out,
other schools believe in an immortal creator, a self, who has the characteristics of Buddha nature. Something which has no attributes, is omnipresent, indestructible, unstained, and intrinsically pure. How is it that Buddha nature is not a self like this?
The Buddha explains.
Buddha nature is not the ultimate self of other paths. It is sometimes given names such as emptiness, nirvana, dharma body, and so forth. But this is just to put end to the fear beings have about no self and attract those followers of other paths. Bodhisattvas should not become attached to any view of a self but should rely only on the selfless Buddha nature. Moreover, understand that self is conceived of as a person in the aggregates, something that arises on conditions, something created by something outside. These are all mind only.
Mahāmati asks,
Please tell us the practices of realization whereby bodhisattvas become great practitioners.
The Buddha explains.
There are 4 such practices. Firstly, distinguishing the perceptions of one's own mind. This involves seeing the 3 realms and their various forms and phenomena as mind only and without self or distinctions. Secondly, perceiving the non-existence of external existence. This involves regarding everything that exists as the result of habit energy. Thirdly, avoiding views of arising, during, cessation. This involves seeing all as only projections of the mind. They see that phenomena don't arise, pursue, or cease. Fourthly, delighting in the personal realization of Buddha knowledge. This occurs after having attained the 8th level. One will transcend the characteristics of consciousnesses, phenomena, modes of reality, no selves, and acquire a projection body. A projection body travels quickly like thought. Thoughts travel unobstructed and arise without interrupting the function of the mind or body. With higher powers and masteries, the projection bodies appear simultaneously in whatever realms one can recall having vowed to bring beings to perfection.
Mahāmati asks,
Please explain causes and conditions so we will not have wrong views about effects existing in causes or separate from them.
The Buddha explains.
There are 2 kinds of conditions. Firstly, external conditions. With these, the application of external objects produces results in something with before and after effects, for instance, a mat made from grass. Secondly, internal conditions. These are ignorance, desire, and karma resulting in aggregates, sense realms, and sense spheres. These are not separate but are imagined so by the foolish. There are 6 kinds of cause. Firstly, immanent cause, which produces internal and external effects as soon as it is a cause. Second, connecting cause, which produces internal and external effects when it has a connection. Third, characterizing cause, which produces the characteristic of an uninterrupted continuity. Fourth, instrumental cause, which exerts supremacy like a wheel-turning king. Fifth, manifesting cause, which manifests causes and effects whenever projections occur. And sixth, inactive cause, which is the absence of projections that occurs with interrupting continuity. These causes and conditions don't occur either sequentially or simultaneously. That means, effects neither exist in nor separate from causes and conditions. If they were simultaneous, there would be no difference between cause and effect. If they were sequential, there would be no perception of an individual entity. That which is sequential is not continuous, but a projection based on the cause of perception of mental projections. In truth, nothing arises or ceases except the conception of causes and conditions, and these are nothing but words.
Mahāmati asks,
How can we transcend the standpoints of other paths based on a sense of reality that posits this, that, both this or that, and neither this nor that, be it existence, non-existence, permanence and so forth, for awakening?
The Buddha explains.
For those who cling to existence or non-existence and so forth, ignorant that it's mind only, they are like a thirsty deer rushing to a mirage thinking it's water, desire realm. Like seeing a Gandharva's cloud city, form realm. Like people not letting go of a memory of a dream, 6th, mind consciousness. Like seeing height and depth in a landscape painting, 7th, thought consciousness, which represents Shravakas who have assertions or denials. Moreover, clinging to existence or non-existence is like seeing a strand of hair in the eye thinking others might see it, representing fantasies by which others might slander the Dharma. Like seeing a wheel of fire that is not a wheel, representing samsara. Like seeing raindrops and mistaking them for jewels and grasping them, like grasping at nirvana. Considering the Tathagata stage as something separate from imagined and dependent reality, perfected reality is neither existent nor non-existent. Any teaching involving existence is that of an apparition Buddha. Like a tree, Buddha, reflected in water, the mind, it's neither a reflection nor non-reflection, neither resembling nor non-resembling a tree. Like a clear mirror, Buddha's mind, showing shapes and images without discriminating between them, whether images are seen therein depends on beings' minds. The Buddha's oral teachings are like the sound of water and wind together. The appearance of teachings are like mirages in deserts that are perceived depending upon thirst. The 5 aggregates and conceptions of self-existence are like using incantations to make the non-living alive or a demon making a dead body move. Thus, all views and projections regarding existence and so forth should be abandoned. The teaching of the Tathagatas is only the truths of the scriptures, dependent origination, the path, cessation, and liberation, not assertions or denials of existences or non-existences, creations, or temporal periods, which Tathagatas, in fact, seek to eliminate.
The Buddha continues.
There are 4 kinds of meditation. Firstly, beginner meditation, which is done by Shravakas, Pratyekabuddhas, and those of other paths on no self, impermanence, suffering, and impurity. Secondly, meditation on meaning, which is meditating on the absence of self in phenomena and the characteristics of the stages of the path. Thirdly, meditation on suchness, which is meditation on the projection of the 2 kinds of no self and the non-arising of suchness. And fourthly, Tathagata meditation, which is enjoying the bliss of samadhi, awakening, and nirvana upon attainment of Buddhahood.
Mahāmati asks the Buddha to explain what's meant by nirvana. The Buddha explains.
Nirvana is the transformation of the habit energy of self-existence of the storehouse consciousness, thought consciousness, and mind consciousness. Nirvana is the realm empty of self-existence. Nirvana is the realm of personal realization of Buddha knowledge free from characteristics, existence, non-existence, permanence or impermanence, which are projections. It is attained by Buddhas in the 3 times. Nirvana is not annihilation, as that would be created, or death, as there's no rebirth. Nirvana is not lost, found, impermanent, permanent, with or without meaning. The nirvana of Shravakas and Pratyekabuddhas is awareness of certain characteristics, avoiding contact, ending delusions, and avoiding projections. There are 2 kinds of attachment to self-existence. Firstly, attachment to the self-existence of words, which comes from attachment to habit energy of word projections. Secondly, attachment to the self-existence of objects, which comes from not realizing that distinctions that arise are perceptions of one's own mind.